What can you expect from your first year of full-time travel? Is it all rainbows and unicorns? Find out in today's episode. Welcome to the How to Travel Full-Time podcast. I'm your host, Heather Markell. If you're dreaming of full-time travel or moving abroad, but stuck at the emotional, financial, and logistical challenges, this podcast is for you. I'll help you trade overwhelm for information that gets you from down and stuck to up and going. You can dream about the travel lifestyle, or you can live the travel lifestyle. If you're ready to live it, then let's jump in together. My episodes on the How to Travel Full-Time podcast up to now have been primarily for those of you that want to travel full-time in the future. Today's episode, though, is still for you, but also for those of you that have started to travel full-time. At the recording of today's episode, I'm in my 8th year of full-time travel, but I remember my first year vividly because it came with some real challenges that defined my journey. So today, I'm going to share 8 milestone experiences that you can expect on your first year of full-time travel. The first one is, at the 2-week mark, you're going to realize you're not on vacation. And this one will hit those of you coming from a corporate environment that you may have quit, or a full-time job that you've quit to travel, pretty hard. For me, it hit when I was in Corcovado National Park in Costa Rica. I flipped out because I was making the transition from vacation taker to traveler. It was a very scary and also very powerful moment. I got stuck in self-pity that I had made a mistake giving up my job to travel. So I had pre-planned my first 2 weeks of travel like I used to for vacation, because when you're in corporate, I pre-planned everything, right? From the flights to the hotels to the activities. So I was on my last pre-planned night of my first 2 weeks in traveling full time, and I completely flipped out because I just had no idea how to make last minute travel plans, and I'm already in another country, so I'm somewhere I don't know. It also turned out I had bad Wi-Fi. I think I've mentioned this story before, so it just seemed like the universe conspired to just make it really impossible, and it really seemed overwhelming. So, of course, I had a self-pity party, broke down and cried, and then suddenly there's this wise voice in my head which suggested that maybe I should try to figure out where I could go instead of focusing so hard on trying to get where I could not go. And that voice in my head and that change in how I went about making my travel plans and being able to do it in the moment completely changed the game of travel for me and made last minute planning okay. So about 2 weeks into your journey, expect that you may freak out and wonder if you made a mistake. And this is normal. And it's one of the moments that will challenge you to decide if this is the right lifestyle for you. And that's one of those experiences that may happen repetitively over that first year. And that's how I'd look at challenges that come up. The next milestone is, I call it an adult vision quest. So this is a deep personal experience and is going to be different for all of you. For me, my journey was about self-respect. So have you ever had people around you who, let's just say, in one experience you have these people around you that are just mean to you, and you wonder, how did this happen? Why are you surrounded by these mean people? And then you leave and you start all over, and the same types of people who treat you the same way show up. Like, how? Why? Right? And that's what happens on this journey. So for me, that first year, it was all about self-respect and personal boundaries. It was not pretty, right? I left people that I just found, again, for me, they were just not very nice to me. And yet I was chasing after them like their friendship was really important to me. And guess what? I went traveling, I'm in a whole other country, and boop, somebody else shows up. Same pattern. Well, along the way, I met this woman half my age who perfectly modeled what I aspired to. And I had to acknowledge, though, that the parts of myself that I was not happy with, and I had to do a lot of personal work and healing. And I'm happy to say that just the other day, I had an experience where I realized I stood up not just for myself, but for others around me. And I'm so happy to see and witness how much I've grown in this space and how much closer I am to the self-respecting person I wanted to become when I first started this journey. And I'm not surrounded by the same kinds of people anymore. They've improved dramatically. And now the joy of knowing that all of this becoming who I want to be is because of this journey. So you have to go through some serious personal growth, but if you do, and if you have the courage to do it, the person you become at the other end is someone you're going to really be proud of and be in love with. A third thing that you're going to learn in your first year of travel, if you haven't already, is that you have choices. So if you're coming from a life where you felt like everything was sort of that black and white either or choice, or you felt victim to a life that you weren't happy with, or maybe you feel that way now, you'll come to see that in fact you do have choices. To get here, it comes with the humbling realization that you are responsible for the course of your life. So that means if you're not happy with it, yep, that's down to your choices. And once you take that in and accept it, taking the helm of your life is a very powerful experience because suddenly you realize you can choose differently and your new choices can make a life you're much happier with. A fourth experience that you can expect to have as a milestone in your first year, and this one took me by surprise, is popping out of corporate thinking and climbing the ladder. Now, obviously, this is more pertinent to those of you in a corporate lifestyle that you're leaving. So, and popping out of the economy altogether, realizing that you don't need to buy so much, and you certainly don't need to carry so much, is a huge part of the first year. So after a few months of traveling full-time, if you're not doing it while working a full-time corporate job, you're going to notice that all the ways that your brain has been wired to think about work and your life as it pertains to work. Same thing about the economy and how you spend money and how you see money. All of these patterns are going to pop out at you. And I remember these moments where my old thinking would pop up in a situation and I realized, wow, this thinking no longer serves me in this new life. So expect that there's going to be these moments of radical awareness of your subconscious thinking and these patterns that no longer work. And this will allow you to decide how you want to take things from here. A fifth thing that you can expect is travel burnout. This is one I did not expect because you free yourself up, you're traveling the world, you're doing this thing you love, and what? You can burn out doing that too? Yeah. So traveling full-time is about a lot of packing and a lot of planning. And when I first started, I was moving every 2 to 3 days. So, I I think at the time I was sort of stuck in that, because when you have a job and you are traveling on vacation, you can only do a limited amount of things. And I did think, as I've mentioned before, that I was only going to be traveling 3 or 6 months. So I was on this race to try to see as many things as possible. So you can imagine, it's pretty exhausting. So I ended up in this tiny town called Posadas in Argentina. Now, there's absolutely nothing, at the time anyway, back in 2019, there was nothing really special about this town. There was no tourism at all. The only thing they had, the reason I wanted to go there was because I had fallen in love with the yerba mate that they drink in Argentina, and Posadas is where the factories are located, and I thought, oh, maybe I can go and learn about the manufacturing of the yerba mate. So what ended up happening is I had booked like 3 nights there, and I realized I was exhausted. I needed more time. So I added on like 4 nights, and anyway, I ended up staying in this place for 2 weeks, and it was so gratifying. It's when I realized I needed to slow down and take my time. And this is all part of you finding your own pace with the travel, right? Because some of you may start slow traveling and realizing, oh my God, I'm really bored and I need to speed it up and spend less time in places. But that's what happens in the first year, is you're going to learn what is the right amount of time approximately for you in a given space. So it's a big one, and you need to just go with it and just recognize that you're either burnt out or bored, and recalibrate your travel plans to go along and be in alignment with what's right for you. A 6th thing that you can expect, and that's part of the travel burnout or the travel boredom, right, is realizing that you can stay somewhere longer, like I just mentioned I did in Posadas, Argentina, or you can leave early. So at the beginning of my travels, I was in Costa Rica and I loved it. But I thought I should go to Nicaragua because, well, it was so close. So I booked my stay there, and I did this crazy bus ride over the border. Oh my God. It was like going from sort of this peaceful womb of paradise into this dangerous, seedy adventure. I had to like walk and lug my luggage for a mile to get from one checkpoint to the other. It was this weird thing where the group I was with on this bus, we had to give our passports to this guy and trust we'd get them back to make it through immigration. Whew. Then I got bronchitis, and the town that I chose to stay in, San Juan del Sur, it felt like a party town, and it just wasn't my vibe. And I was just not happy. So you know what I did? And this was, for me at the time, like a big deal. I ended my trip early, and I went back to Costa Rica. And like I mentioned, it was like, wow, like I can just unmake my plans and just leave. And it's really empowering to know that you can try something out, decide you don't like it, or decide you love it, and just change your plans without a lot of drama and stress. A 7th thing that you can expect is judgment. And that judgment may come from people back home thinking that you must be rich or somehow special to be able to live this lifestyle, because of course they're peering in from the outside and seeing your lovely pictures and thinking you must be staying at, the Ritz-Carlton or wherever it is they stay, and they know how expensive that is, and so they're labeling you. It may also come from people that you meet while traveling who are on vacation and just cannot understand your lifestyle choice or why you're not staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Or if you're solo, people may worry and ask you crazy questions like, do you think that you're safe? You must be lonely. And it can grate on you, right? So you can expect that judgment. And I found in my first year, I kind of, I guess, wore my heart on my sleeve, and it really bothered me. And now I just kind of recognize, yeah, this was other people either being jealous or learning that, hey, this is not the life they want to live. They're really happy in their life. Isn't that wonderful? And really, their judgments had nothing to do with me, and I could keep on traveling and loving my life. Now, hand in hand with that is the 8th thing you can expect. To make up for the judgment, you can also expect to meet other people just like you on the road, right? If you thought that there weren't many people having your same dream, it is so refreshing to learn that there are. Now, I think things are different now, but when I first quit my job and started traveling in 2018, I thought I was just plain crazy, especially at my age, to have quit my job to travel. And then I met lots of other people of all different ages doing the same thing. And they all did it different ways. So I learned so much about how to live this lifestyle. And I felt like I had found my tribe. So there's an idea of 8 things that you can expect, 8 experiences you can expect to have your first year of full-time travel. Some of them are great. Actually, most of them are great. But sometimes to get to the great part of it, you have to go through the bumpy part of it to get there. So hopefully that sets your expectations a little bit about this lifestyle. And I hope you loved this episode. If you did, remember to leave a review, and I will see you here, or hear you here, or no, you'll hear me here next week. Have a good one. Thanks so much for listening to the How to Travel Full-Time podcast. If you loved it, please leave a review and let us know. Make sure to subscribe to get the latest episodes. Check out the show notes for important resources related to this episode, and come visit us at travellifestylecoach.com to learn more great information. If you're ready to get started with the lifestyle, go to moneyfortravelbootcamp.com, where you can learn all the strategies to afford this amazing lifestyle. Talk to you next week.